Bulletproof vest. How did you know? I never got a chance to tell you. What about all that talk about screwing up future events, the space-time continuum?
Well, I figured, what the hell?
So how far ahead are you going?
About 30 years. It's a nice round number.
Look me up when you get there, all right? Guess I'll be about 47.
I will.
Take care.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye, Annie. Oh, and watch that re-entry. It's a little bumpy.
You bet.
Actually, it was only 4 years ago, that year 2021. I thought of a podcast idea. It was so much fun that first year that I figured I would do it again. The next 2 years I did the sequels. Compared to the first, there are no equals. The fourth year, as you all know, was that silly cartoon show. And when March 31st arrived, I wouldn't say I almost cried, but I thought it best to decide to say my last goodbye. But I lied about Marchy McFly, said that last year was the last year and that the show had died. But I found a way to keep the podcast alive, and I'm gonna call it Marchy McFive. I'm gonna call it Marchy McFive. Yeah, I lied about Marchy McFly, said that last year was the last year and that the show had died. But I found a way to keep that podcast alive, and I welcome you to Marchy McFive.
Day 30. It's day 30, and that means there's only one more day after this. Happy Sunday, everybody. It is Sunday, March 30th, which means it is day 30 of Marchy McFly, which means it is day 30 of Marchy McFive, which means that for the 30th straight day in a row, I am here talking to you about Back to the Future. This is what you would call the penultimate episode. Penultimate means, next to last. So like Penn Jillette is the next to last Gillette. There's no other. There's like one other Gillette after Penn Jillette, and that was the joke that I thought of 5 seconds ago. I don't have anywhere to go with it, but penultimate. I don't know why it's that. Whenever I think of, it's not the ultimate, it's the penultimate, I think of Three Amigos. Oh, he's not famous. He's infamous. He's more than famous. This isn't the ultimate. It is penultimate. It is less than ultimate. And I have to be honest with you, part of me feels like I am limping to the finish line mainly because of like physical ailments. Now I feel probably the best I've felt today, but today was another cuckoo bananas day. I'm recording this for you right now, Sunday, March 30th at 10:04 p.m. And I waited to as long as possible. Really not great, but let's just say I was prepping things. I was planning ahead for some things for tomorrow, so that's what got in the way. But today, why didn't I get to record until all the way this late? Like, why didn't I record in the morning? Why didn't I record in the afternoon? Because I was a busy boy all day. Get up in the morning, go grocery shopping, come back. I had a little while before I then picked up my nephew. I had my nephew for the day because my brother and his wife they had a show in Boston, and my niece had a thing at school, like a play practice at school all day. So that left Uncle Mike to come on in and bring my nephew to a lacrosse game, his first lacrosse game of the year. But before that, my wife and I were going to go to a craft show over in Salem, New Hampshire. And we said, hey, nephew, do you want to come with us? He's like, sure. And then, as you know, I have been kind of under the weather. I feel like my voice is kind of back, but it's not all there. I still got a bit of a runny nose and a bit of a cough. But I don't feel completely like crap. Like today was probably the first day I didn't wake up with a sore throat. However, I gave it to my wife. And she always, I think I got my mother sick too, but I gave it to my wife, who always gets hit harder than me. She is laid out and she's already staying home from work tomorrow. She's trying to talk me into doing that. But I feel like, I'm working from home. I could just, if I'm up for it, I'm just going to work on the computer and, I can just do my work. It almost is relaxing sometimes because I have things I want to work on. But she's out for the count. And so she said, I can't do this today. I said, that's completely fine. I will go. We went and we got a couple things. And then we went out to lunch. And I said, all right, I asked my brother, what's his favorite places? He named a couple. One of them was a chicken place. One of them was a burger place. And I was like, ooh, I just had a bad experience with chicken. But again, not at this place. So after the craft show, if you've never been to a craft show, it's like, there's crafters there. I think the place we spent the most money was on soap and a 3D printer guy, like the 3D prints things. And I said, all right, do you want to go to Five Guys? Yeah, sure. Or do you want to go to Raising Cane's? He's like, oh, either one. And I go, okay, what if I said Five Guys? And I do this, I joke about this. I do this with my wife a lot. I go, like, she asked me this or this, and I go, this. And I make a definitive decision. And she goes, oh, I go, then you thought that. So it's that. Like, if she asks my opinion and I give it and she doesn't like right away, I go, okay, then you want to go, you disagree. And now you know how you feel. And that's how I played it with him. And I told him that I used my genius. Like, what is the dude from the Sicilian on Princess Bride? I said, all right, Five Guys. Unless, would you rather go to Raising Cane's? Okay, how about Raising Cane's? And then I see a little smile. I go, boom, there it is. So we went and got chicken fingers, which I have to say, for like a fast food kind of place, pretty good. Then we had about an hour to kill before we went to the lacrosse game. It's the first lacrosse game of the year. On the way home from like before the craft, when we got to the lunch, my brother calls me and says, hey, are you on speaker? I go, yeah. He was going to give me the chance to he gave me the out on this, but there's no way I would have done this. He said, he's been offered the chance to play the second game as well. They need him. Would he want to play? And I looked at him. He's like, yeah, I want to play. I said, okay, we'll do both games. So it was 2 games in a row. Now, I'm in Massachusetts. If you check the weather in Massachusetts today, literally when I got up this morning, there was ice, like frozen ice all over my deck. And this was a freezing nightmare to the end where like I'd get up in between games and I was like, go to the bathroom. And I thought, oh, the water's going to get hot. The water, like I'm washing my hands hoping to get hot water. And it didn't get hot water. And then I realized, I never bounced back from that. Teeth were chittering and chattering. And I was just freezing to the point where I was like, I need this to end. And here's the kicker. My 76-year-old, or soon to be, no, yeah, he is 76. Wait, 48. He'll be 77. Holy moly. 76-year-old best friend. No, my 76-year-old dad. Imagine if I just, I had a 76-year-old best friend. We really met about 30 years ago. People thought it was untoward, but it was completely cool. No, my 76-year-old dad, came with. And he's like, I'm going to go. I was like, okay, great. Now he's recovered from his 2 knee replacements, but he's in a sling because he did have a fall that hurt his shoulder and he needs his shoulder replaced. Great. Awesome. We park, we get to the game. Everything's awesome. Everything's fine. And we're freezing. He's like, ooh, my leg I got to wait for my leg to wake up. I'm like, yeah, fine. Let's do that. So we start making our way to the car. I go, I'm going to go start the car early and get it running. I go and I start the car. I come back and he's walking towards me. He goes, is the car unlocked? I go, no. He goes, okay, go check to make sure your nephew is there. Okay, I'll run back and I'll come back and unlock the car, because he's moving slow enough that I knew I could run back, check to see if my nephew was walking out, or because it's like a stadium where there's inside the stadium and outside the stadium wall, so you can't quite see when the cars are. So I go in, I look, he's not there yet. I go, okay, let me run back, unlock the car so he can get in and sit down and warm up. And then I look in front of me, like maybe, I don't know, 100 yards or whatever, like literally 10 feet from our car. And there seems to be some sort of commotion, and these 2 guys are trying to help this old man off the ground. And I said, oh shit, that old man is my pappy. So I bolted. I run like goddamn Ethan Hunt, down this hall. Boom, 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 boom. This guy's trying to pick him up from his bad shoulder. I was like, oh, he's got a bad shoulder. And I could tell more than anything, my dad was embarrassed. And so I just I just lifted him, and he was like, all right, I don't want Ben to know. He was fine. He was like a little scratched up on his hand. I gave him something to put on his hand, and he didn't, before my nephew even got out, I go, let's get you in the car. People were people were great. They were like, can we help you? Can we get you in? And I said, nope. I got him in the car. The car was nice and warmed up, and went back, got my nephew, and just played it cool the entire time. He's like, oh, don't tell your mother, but he told her right away. And then later on, I told my brother, I go, listen, here's what happened. I came out and he's on the ground. He's like, Jesus Christ. Guy's fine. He's okay. He's just a little, like, he didn't hurt anything. I think he was more embarrassed than anything. He's like, I tripped over my own feet. He's like, maybe my legs were still asleep. I'm like, oh my God. And I kept saying to my brother, I'm so glad I brought him. I'm so glad he came. This really worked out great. It was so cold. My nephew's teams got spanked in both games. He did score a goal and he got an assist, and he almost scored another goal. He is quite talented. But oh my goodness. Then we get out of that. We go back to the house. Then I got to bring my nephew down to his house, which is right around the corner. And so he can shower and get changed. We take his dogs out. Then we all ordered dinner because my brother and sister-in-law weren't home yet. So we ordered dinner. I bring them back to the house, and then I go pick up the dinner. I come back, get the dinner, bring it back, eat really quick, and then I go pick up my niece from play practice, because that was the original request. Can you just pick up your niece from play practice? Then it became, hey, we'd like to take our nephew out for, to go to lunch and for the craft show. Then it became lacrosse. Then it became 2 lacrosse games. Then it became, picking up an old man off the ground. Thankfully, he just fell. He wasn't in a tree peeping on anybody. So I go, and my wife's like, she's not feeling good. So she's like, can you bring the dog with you so she doesn't have to go out? So I bring her with me. We get to the school early, and I walk my dog, and my dog does her business. And I was like, yes. Pick up my niece. I'm like, hey, cool, look at this. And I show her my tattoo. I show my nephew a tattoo. I was like all proud of it. Get them home. My nephew jumps in the car, get them down the hill. My brother and sister are home at this point. That's when he came out, and I told them what's going on. And I was like, I am done. Came back here with my dog, and at this point, it is probably 7:30. So what the hell was I doing for the last 2.5 hours? Wait a minute. What was I doing for the last... Oh, I then, got everyone to bed and was doing prep work for day 31. That's all I'll say. Try to make day 31 as easy as possible, because I realized, the penultimate show is not the ultimate show. It's not the final show. I do want to talk about the clips that I saw today, But it's not like I'm going to, it's not like this is the all out, final geek mentality for a couple months. We have one more tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about the end of Back to the Future. Even though I think I'm off, I ended up being off by 5 seconds. I didn't do the math right or something. I don't know exactly, but I screwed up and lost 5 seconds somewhere in the math. But I didn't change my graphics. They are what they are. It is what it is. Now, let's actually get crack-a-lackin' as we talk about minutes 1 hour and 44 minutes to 1 hour, 47 minutes and 35 seconds, even though, again, it's actually like 1 hour, 44 minutes and 5 seconds and 1 hour and 47 minutes and 35 seconds. I don't know exactly where I lost that second, those 5 seconds, but I did. So let's just talk about this segment, which picks up right with the JCPenney that we talked about yesterday. It was, we see the DeLorean from the angle of the outside. Before we were inside the car, looking at Marty right in the cockpit, right in the driver's seat. And this time we see the car glowing. And I have to tell you, for a 40-year-old effect of the car glowing, it is pretty spectacular. There is like nothing that looks old or age with this. It just looks great. It has that painted glow of like early 80s that I think was created for Tron. I feel like it has that. If you took the picture of the DeLorean glowing and you took the picture of like one of the Tron pictures, Jeff Bridges from Tron, you'd see it kind of has that same style of glow. But we see the car like an explosion, not just the flash of blue. We see the flash of blue. Then it you actually see it almost like it gets swallowed up by something. There's an explosion and there's the fire path from the tires. Now, from here, the Libyans were following Marty at a good clip. I mean, he's going 88 miles per hour. So let's say they're going the same thing, 88, 87, which I don't even know a VW bus could do that. Just looking up on, I literally typed into Google VW van top speed in the 80s. And it says here, I don't want the 2025. I'm talking about in the 80s. Yeah, the top speed. I don't know if this is right. But it says that on the AI, quote-unquote, overview that Google loves to give now at the beginning of something, it says, in the 80s, Volkswagen's Vanagons, powered by either the air-cooled or water-cooled Wasserboxer engines, typically had a top speed of 80 to 85 miles per hour, though some sources mention a slightly higher speed of around 90. So it is possible for it to be right there, just right on the tip of the of catching the DeLorean. So these guys are going very fast, but when you watch them crash into the I feel like the Fox photo crash should have been worse. Like one of the guys should have been flung from the I guess they couldn't do that. This is a PG movie. But I guess the idea is that these guys were going so fast that just crashing into the Fox photo booth killed them both instantly. Now, Marty sees that happen. It's like, oh my God, runs over to Doc, and he starts crying, and he rolls Doc over, and Doc's eyes are wide open. And that's, especially in movies, that's the international, movie kind of sign of death. If you're lying there with your eyes open, and then someone would come up slowly, and they would close both your eyelids and say, sleep now, young prince. But instead, Doc's eyes blinked himself. He was in shock. He wasn't dead. He was in shock. He gets up, and now we're seeing old Doc again, which they take care of in part 2. That's actually kind of a funny thing they do in part 2 to take care of old Doc. But Marty's like, you're alive. But how? And he pulls open the jacket, bulletproof vest. Thank God they shot him in the chest. Marty didn't say, hey, you get shot 5 times in the chest. Marty didn't even know. Maybe he got one in the face. What if something changed in the something changed because of Doc knew this was going to happen. Something with the Libyans that just ended up with them shooting slightly different and, giving them one right in the forehead, and nothing a bulletproof vest would have done. But I just had a thought, and I think I know the answer. Like, Doc knew this was going to happen, but why didn't he just do it a day before or an hour before? He knows what time they're going to show up, so do everything right this time. But if he does everything right this time, then the Marty that we know will disappear, right? Because now that Marty never had a chance to go back and become this Marty that we see, even though that Marty's different. Oh my goodness gracious. But he had to make sure everything was the same, because if he just moved it back an hour, he survives. He travels back in time. Now Marty's there, and there's two Martys, and they're like, what goes on? And they go back to the house, like, twins. You accidentally had twins, and they have to explain to everybody that you were separated at birth. And Lorraine's like, I would have remembered two of you, I think. And George would have been like, that son of a... What else is she hiding from me? But instead, Doc made sure everything went... he's the guy who doesn't want to mess with anything, so he made sure everything went to plan exactly to allow for everything to happen exactly. The only difference is Marty had a better upbringing or a better family. The family was, I guess, better off. That's really the only difference. And I wonder if Doc, this Doc, he's the only person in the world who knows, because George and Lorraine did too, but he's the only one who knows that he's dealt with two versions of Marty. And for all Marty's life, he knew what was going to happen. He knew that this night was going to happen, and he just had to keep his mouth shut all this time. Think about that. Think about that. That is awesome. So he opens up the letter, he taped it all back together, and Marty's like, what about, like knowing too much about your future and messing up the whole space-time continuum? And I love that Doc said, well, I thought, what the hell? See, if they can't, remember when they had that deleted scene where he says to Doc, how long, if it doesn't work out, how long do you think I have until I disappear? And he's like, beats the shit out of me. Having more than one of those kind of like Doc, who's so specific and so like detail oriented, having more than one of those jokes would have lessened both of them. That other one I just didn't like, and taking that away allows this one to have a little more of effect of like him going, what the hell? And I love it. The next shot we see is them pulling back into Lyon Estates. This is one of my favorite acting moments by Christopher Lloyd. But how long do you think it was? Like, what time do you think it is here? Because think about it. They're at the mall, and they're like, what the hell? I survived. All right, we should probably get going. But first, and then we get this long Breaking Bad scene of them taking the two Libyans and melting down the bodies, using lime, using all kinds of chemicals. They have to get rid of all the evidence. Otherwise, the police will show up the next day, and randomly, out of nowhere, they'd be like, what is going on? In the middle of the mall parking lot, there are two dead, foreign, terrorists in a van. What is going on here? Like, they obviously, because they had, what did they drive? They drove home in the DeLorean. But where's Emmett's truck? So this had to be at least 2 hours later. They got rid of the bodies. They threw them in the river or something. It would have been funny if, oh my God, it would have been awesome if he had enough plutonium, right? They somehow put both in the passenger seat. Marty drives the van back to the house. He says, what are you going to do? Oh, before he leaves, this is it. Before he leaves, he goes, all right, what are we going to do with these two bodies? He goes, I have an idea. He takes the first one and flies back 10,000 years and comes back. Then he does the second one, and he just leaves them so far in the past that they are never heard from again. That is the one way you would never find them, because they are erased from this timeline. They are then all like their families are like, whatever happened to Papa? He's never coming back. But then they find like old cave paintings and it looks like him. This is crazy. Or you drive them 100 years into the future and you leave them there. That'd be cooler for them, but that would be something like that. They had to get rid of the bodies. They had to clean up their mess. Remember, we still had, Emmett's truck, Dr. Brown's truck, so they had to get rid of that. They did that. They brought everything back to the Brown house. Then Marty, he decided to drive Marty home. He goes, we're going straight from here. But, again, that's me overthinking everything. We get one of my favorite scenes of Doc. When he gets out, he's like, where are you going? He's like, 30 years. Nice, seems like a nice round number. And it's so subtle. And it's the subtle little things that Christopher Lloyd does that I love even more than the big boisterous stuff. Marty says, look me up when you get there. I guess I'll be about 47. He's like, I will. He goes, all right, take care of yourself. He goes, you too. And just the way he looks at him like, this is amazing. We did this. It happened. Because think about this. Marty, his big thing was it all happened a week ago and he got back to the future. Thankfully, Doc's alive and it's all over. It's all behind us. But Emmett has been planning this for 30 years and it worked. Somehow it worked. Now, he didn't know that the Libyans died. So he probably could have been like, I'm alive. Oh my God. Then he has to hide out. Like, what if they just drove around the Fox thing? He didn't know because he's shot dead. So there was a little hope, like there was a little kind of just a shot in the dark. But luckily they were they were mean, horrible people. Luckily they were taken care of. And again, what happened to the bodies? So Marty says, watch that re-entry. It's a little bumpy because again, Doc's never done this before. And he's like, you bet. Then I love this little scene. He says goodbye to Einstein. And I love how they did this. I never really paid attention to it until now. But think about it. There's 2 DeLoreans in the scene. So Marty closes the door. Christopher Lloyd backs out of the driveway, does a very nice job, and drives to the right of the screen. Then, as Marty is walking towards the house, he stops and turns, and we see the DeLorean get back enough road to then speed as fast as it can going to the left of the screen, and we don't even see it. We don't even see it happen. But this is obviously how we see the DeLorean drive away. We see lights flashing, and that's it. Now he knows that Doc's in the future. And think about it. He could be like, Doc could have come back right then and there. He could have been like, I'll be right back, Marty. Seriously, don't go in the house yet. I'll be right back. I'll tell you about your future. But instead, luckily, he lets Marty, get a nice night's sleep. But I love that Christopher Lloyd takes the car, drives it one way. It's all one shot. Marty is walking, Michael J. Fox walks towards the house, and then someone else, I would assume a stunt driver who is comfortable driving a car very fast, and they're very comfortable with having, not an actor driving this car this fast, speeds by, and the car goes into the future. 30 years into the future, which is crazy when you think about the fact that that's 10 years in the past for us right now. So Marty goes into his house. And the next shot we see, he is awoken by his alarm clock. He slept all the way until 10:27 a.m. I used to love sleeping that late when I was in high school. I haven't slept that late in 30 years, but he slept that late. The only thing that woke him up was the sound of Huey Lewis. Take me away, I don't mind. But you better promise me that I'll be back in time. Burp, 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 burp-doo. Gotta get back in time. How ironic that this is the song playing in your bedroom the day after you time traveled. Like, imagine if you woke up and he just sat there for a second and he heard the lyrics. He'd be like, what the hell? Well, there's lightning. I mean, there's lots of songs with lightning. It's a coincidence. What? Please don't drive 88. What the hell is going on here? At this point, I'd be like, oh my God, somebody knows. Somebody knows that I travel back in time. Oh my God, Doc Brown, to supplement his income, sold the story rights to Hubert Lupus and the News. And they didn't buy it, so then he sold it to Huey Lewis and the News. and they purchased it, and they're like, all right, we're going to write a song about this. And he's like, make sure whatever you do. Then Doc used his riches to buy a radio station. He goes, this is going to be hilarious. Make sure whatever you do, have this song playing at 10:27 a.m. Because later that night, Doc went back a couple times and he peeked in the window to see what time he wakes up. And he's like, hee hee hee. So this all was Doc's plan. He sold the rights to Huey Lewis, or he co-wrote the song with him. And they got the radio station to play the song at the same time. And it was all kind of like, Doc loved it, thought it was hilarious, but it was all kind of lost because Marty wasn't even paying attention. In fact, he's like, oh my God, this was like a crazy dream. And I love that he wakes up in the same outfit and in the same position that he was in, when the movie started, and, Doc woke him up to say, pick up my camera. And I wonder if this is why he changed back in his clothes so that we could have this moment. You think about that. So he thinks it's a dream. He gets up and he walks out into the kitchen, and something doesn't seem right.
Well, if Paul calls me, tell him I'm working at the boutique late tonight.
Linda, first of all, I'm not your answering service. Second of all, somebody named Greg or Craig called you just a little while ago.
Well, which one was it, Greg or Craig?
I don't know. I can't keep up with all of your boyfriends.
Hey, what the hell is this?
And that is where the segment ends today. Marty walks into his living room and he sees his brother and his sister on a Saturday morning having a late breakfast. And he looks and he's like, what the hell's going on here? Because last he saw, his brother worked at Burger King. His sister, I don't know if she had a job at all. And the house looked different. They had a piano. The furniture was nicer. Everything was different. They lived in the same house. Like that would have been something that would have been too much. I think a bridge too far. But he looks at his brother and his sister, and he's just like, she's talking about all her boyfriends. Is it Greg or is it Craig? And he's wearing a suit, and it's like, what the hell is going on? And Marty's thinking the same thing. Like, what the hell is this? And that's when the segment ends, and that's where I got the title for today's episode. So I wanted to I wanted to give them a little shout out. That's why I made them the image of the day. We've had a lot of George. We've had a lot of Lorraine. So I wanted to get one shot of Linda and one shot of Dave McFly. Dave McFly, of course, is played by Mark McClure, who's best known probably for two major roles. Dave McFly, really, it's what it showed. It shows there right on the IMDb, known for Dave McFly. And for me, even more so, Jimmy Olsen in the original 70s Superman. And he's back in Superman 3 as well. Is he in Superman 2? Yes, he's absolutely in Superman 2. Yes, that is correct. He's in Superman, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4. And he's actually in Supergirl 2. He's one of the few actors that made the crossover. But he has been in, a ton of movies. He was a teacher in Beverly Hills 90210, a ton of TV show. The guy's been working forever. He did have a blip part in Back to the Future 2 that got deleted, and he does return for Back to the Future 3 for the very end. He was in, it's really cool that he was in Smallville because he was Jimmy Olsen. He was in he was in Justice League, and he was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he played two different characters. I don't get it, but I like it. I'm not going to be an apologist for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's a little over the top and opulent, but it is light years better than the 2017 mess that was put out. Yes, it's 4 hours plus long, but if you take it in chunks, it is a better overall experience. So Mark McClure still working as of 2021. Well, that was Zack Snyder's Justice League, which again was probably shooting in 2017. So he hasn't done much in the last few years, but I mean, he's been around forever. And of course, his sister, Linda McFly, played by Wendy Jo Sperber. Wendy Jo was born in 1958 and unfortunately passed away in 2005 from breast cancer. She was only 47 years old, which is the age that Marty told Doc, look me up in 30 years. I guess I'll be 47 years old. She was in so many things. It's funny. She was in a movie called I Want to Hold Your Hand. Guess what? So was Mark McClure. She was in Bachelor Party. She was in Private Benjamin, the TV show. Bosom Buddies. That's what I remember her first from, Bosom Buddies. She's been in a ton of TV shows and movies over the years. But unfortunately, she is no longer with us. And we only get one quick shot of, like, one quick moment of them. You know, he's like, I can't keep track of all your boyfriends. This person called, who was it, Craig or Greg? And then someone else calls me later. So now the Linda McMahon we saw before, she was like, how am I ever going to date anybody? And now she's hooking up left and right. So that's what's changed for her. Really, I don't know what her job is. I don't know what Dave's job is, but he's at an office, not a Burger King. And now Linda is, getting all kinds of guys. Because that's what success does. You have a better job and you can hook up with lots of dudes. That's where the segment ends. So that's where I'm going to stop talking now. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been pausing and stopping to cough and to kind of blow my nose. It is, I am disgusting, but I'm feeling slightly better. But I need to get to bed now. And I need to get the show up now. And I will be back tomorrow for one final Marchy. This year. But it's the last one. It's crazy that March, like, the fact that this is the 5th time I've done this. I remember doing the first one ever. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I just knew that I was going to talk about Back to the Future. And I was like, all right, 3 years and done. Now we're on year 5, and I see a path for at least a couple more years. But again, I'm getting way ahead of myself. We still have tomorrow. The show will come out tomorrow. It's only a day away. But until then, you can follow me on all the socials at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. You can follow us on Facebook at Fans Not Experts, on YouTube at Fans Not Experts. That's because the website is fansnotexperts.com. That's it. I'm done. Take me away. I don't mind because I got to go to bed but I got to get this episode up because I only have so much time. I'll talk to you tomorrow for one last time. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. And here is my theme song.
This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time. And I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.